Today it's Jake Reid, and I'm bringing you a Madden video. I haven't brought you guys a Madden video in a while, but now that the Madden 20 beta is completed, and we have some information on how the game's going to play this year, I wanted to get you guys a video on what things that you can do here in Madden 19 to start prepping for Madden 20 and get yourself prepared for that type of gameplay style before the game ever even comes out. So jumping right into it, I'm going to have 5 tips here that you can do that are going to prepare you for Madden 20, and it's going to help you out right away. So number 1 tip that you can do to prepare for Madden 20 is to start getting the ball out quicker. And the biggest change that you'll see that came from Madden 19 to Madden 20 is they made pass rushing a lot more realistic. So you won't be able to sit back all day and have all day to drop back and pass the ball. So the short to medium range gameplay style is going to be a lot more effective in Madden 20, and the deep passing plays aren't going to be as effective. You're not going to have time to sit here and let the plays develop and pass downfield all the time. So as you can see here in Madden 19, you have a ton of time before anybody ever gets any amount of pressure on you. I'll run the play again and we'll count how many seconds you have. So you've got 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, almost 5 seconds before you ever have any pressure on you. That's going to change here in Madden 20. In Madden 20, you're going to have players on you relatively quickly. It's going to be a 3-second at most time before there's going to be a pass rusher on you. So it's going to be 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, you're sacked. That's really important. They finally fixed the pass rushing, and even if you have a really good offensive line, I know I'm playing with the Texans right here, you're going to struggle to find those deep passing lanes because you're not going to have the time to sit in the pocket and pass the ball like you have here in Madden 19. So you need to be able to get the ball off really quickly, and running deep passes like this all the time and running those play action passes that are broken in the game, it's not going to work in Madden 20. There aren't going to be those one-play touchdowns, those one-play glitch plays that work every single time. You're not going to have time to do it. You're going to have to get used to running slants, running drag routes, running curls, running a lot of stuff underneath, and kind of game planning to get people open with like pick routes and stuff like that. And there are a lot of plays in the game that are already designed to do things like this. And this is how I run my offense. I know a lot of people don't do this, but this is how I run my offense. I pretty much do short to medium passes. I rarely pass downfield, only whenever it's wide open. So a good example of this, I believe it's in this playbook, is a play like the FY trail. And they're going to be adding a ton more plays into the playbook, and they're going to be distinguishing the playbooks from each other quite a bit in Madden 20, and so there will be a lot more plays like this that are designed specific for teams, but more so are designed to get players open. And so what happens on a play like this is this runs people open, because it runs a guy on a deep post to or a deep out route there, and then Demaryius Thomas is going to come on and drag underneath, and then between those 3 routes that are going on, somebody's going to end up open coming across the middle right there, and then your check down is going to be a lot more prevalent in Madden 20, and you want to keep that in mind. So you're going to have guys that are going to get open underneath, and you're going to want to really focus on that type of passing game, because they made the game a lot more realistic this year. In the NFL, you see a lot of it is based on short to medium passes, and you don't see players, or teams running deep passing plays all the time like you do in Madden. When you play somebody online in Madden, you know that they're just passing the ball deep all the time, and it's really hard to cover that when the AI defenders are really bad at doing their job. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 1 is you want to get used to early and often now. You want to get used to the pass play, the short passing game, the short to intermediate passing game, and then number 2 is you want to start to build your offense around the run game and the short to medium passing game. So kind of building on number 1 is you want to really be able to establish the run, and this is something that I think a lot of people failed to do in Madden 19. Is people didn't really understand how to run the ball for a majority of the time, and this is something that you're going to want to start working on now. That way, when the game comes out here in a couple months, you're going to be prepared and you're going to be able to run the ball already. And you can check out some of the other videos I have on the channel. I have, how do I run the ball so well here in Madden 19, but it's as simple as just understanding what type of plays work against what type of defenses. I know that if I go in and pick a halfback dive like this, and I just say, pick a random play defensively, I'm going to be able to run this play because I have put enough time into the game that I understand what running plays work against what defenses and, where specifically I have to run the ball. So as you can see, I get a big gain on my first play just because I know that play works. I know where to run the ball. And this is something that you're going to want to start doing because in Madden 20, you're going to have to focus your offense around the run game and the short passing game, because that's how real football works, and that's how they've designed the game this year. You're not going to be able to cheese quite the same way that a lot of people do in Madden 19, so that's really important. So that's tip number 2, and that builds on tip number 1. Tip number 1, get the ball out quicker, focus on the short to medium pass range, and then number 2 is build your offense around that short to medium passing game, and then focus on the run and build your offense around that. Now, number 3 is that this isn't actually a defensive tip. So you're going to want to start to learn to not user the linebacker. You're going to want to start to learn that using the linebacker isn't going to work in Madden 19 the same way that it does in the game now. They're kind of taking that ability away, which to me is a really good thing. I personally hate the user linebacker. I think it takes the realism out of the game. I think that it's completely broken. But other people completely rely on the user linebacker, and they say that's the only way that skill is introduced into the game pretty much. I completely disagree. But whatever it might be, essentially speaking, you're going to want to learn to utilize other positions other than just the user linebacker because it's not going to be as effective. They changed passing trajectories, so you're going to start to see a lot of the time you're going to start to see that balls are going to go over the linebackers' heads. You're not going to be able to just cover here and jump up and pick off a ball that's not thrown correctly or is thrown correctly. And on the passing side of the ball, you don't have to worry so much about if you throw a pass, is it going to be jumped by a linebacker in an unrealistic way? You don't have to worry about that as much because linebackers are going to play in reality. If this guy has a zone here, he's going to cover this zone, and he's not going to be able to jump up and pick off that ball that's thrown right there. If you're going against a good user, they're going to jump up and pick off that ball in Madden 19, but in Madden 20, that's not going to happen unless they're covering the guy, perfectly. Unless I'm right on the guy that the ball's thrown to, you're not going to see that user linebacker be as effective in Madden 19. So you're going to want to start to user positions like, the D-line or the safeties, because the pass rush is more effective. So if you can get that user on the D-line, you can increase that pass rush speed even just that slight bit more and make it a 2.5 second drop back time in the pocket for the QB as opposed to a 3 second time. And that's going to make all the difference in Madden 20 because, like I said, the user linebacker and the coverage type of thing, it's not going to be played the same way in Madden 20. It's going to be a lot different, and you're not going to be able to rely on that user, which in my opinion is a broken mechanic. They made the game a lot more realistic this year, which is really nice to see. Tip number 4, which is pretty much directly linked to, getting used to not using the linebacker, is you want to practice now switching on to players to make defensive plays. And like I said, this is totally defensive focused here on this tip, and the defense is no longer going to be focused on usering one player and basically dominating a certain part of the field because you user one player. It's going to be focused on switching between positions to make plays. So you're going to want to user a defensive lineman, and then once the ball is thrown, you're going to need to be used to switching over to that player to make the play on the pass. So you're going to want to be used to this, and then immediately once the ball is thrown, switching over to the right guy in order to make the play. And as you can see, it switched me onto the wrong guy in that situation. But in Madden 20, they've improved the switch on, so it's a lot smoother in Madden 20, and it's going to change quite a bit. So as you can see there, I got a user pick. that whole system of switching on to players to make plays is much improved, and it's a lot smoother in Madden 20. So you're going to want to get used to that. You're going to want to get used to making plays like that, because just using a linebacker, like I said, it's going to be nerfed a lot in Madden 20. So, already start preparing for not using the linebacker. It's really important that you do that, because that is one of the backbones of Madden 19 defense. One of the crutches is more so what I would say that a lot of players that are bad at calling defensive plays lean on in order to play defense. You're not going to have that crutch to lean on anymore. You're going to need to actually play good defense, and you're going to need to call the right plays, and that's a lot more realistic. I appreciate the fact that they're moving Madden towards a realistic game. I like that a lot. So you guys are going to have to get used to calling plays and playing defense, strategically, and being effective on defense by calling the right plays. And that's really important. And I think it's really good that Madden is moving in that direction. So that's tip number 4 on what you can do to get ready for Madden 20, and that kind of combines with the last one. Just pretty much get used to not using the linebacker, get used to using other positions, and get used to switching to different positions to make plays. And then the final tip is kind of a combination of all of these things, and that is to start to develop your own play style, offensively or defensively, that is around these things. And primarily what I'm talking about in this tip is start to develop a defensive play style that's prepared to get pressure, stop the run, and stop short passing. Because, as I said, they kind of eliminated certain things in this game. It's going to be really hard to pass deep unless you have really good players that are good at catching jump balls or getting open deep. So you're going to need to stop the run. You're going to need to stop short to medium range passing, and so you're going to need to start calling defensive plays in order to stop that stuff. And so what you're going to want to do, even if it's going to cause you to maybe lose games here in Madden 19, is you want to get used to running plays like this, like a Tampa 2, underneath type coverages or middle of the field type coverages, and get good at running these specific plays, because in Madden 20, these are going to be the bread and butter. These are the plays that are going to stop the offenses of opposing teams, because they are designed to stop short to medium passes, and you're going to want to get used to run stopping techniques in order to be able to stop players in Madden 20. So those are the 5 tips. Like I said, number 1, I'm going to pause here real quick. Number 1, start getting the ball out quicker. Actually, I'm not going to pause. Start getting the ball out quicker on offense. Number 2, start to get used to the short to medium pass range and build your offense around that, because that's extremely important. That's how Madden 20 is going to play, and if you're not successful at that, you're not going to be successful on offense. The deep passing game is highly eliminated in Madden 19. It's nerfed quite a bit, and you're not going to be able to run just glitch plays to get touchdowns. It's going to actually be skill-based and strategy-based, which is real life. It's going to be completely dependent on whether your players are better than their players and whether you call the right plays against the right defenses or not. And then that's number 1 and number 2. Number 3 and number 4 is essentially stop learning to lean on the user linebacker, because it's going to be really nerfed in Madden 20. Focus on using other positions and how to utilize them. Learn the pass rush moves, learn timing on the defensive line to jump at the snap and get a good jump on the ball. Learn to be able to switch off and on to defenders to make plays and make interceptions and stuff like that. That's really important. So you're going to want to get used to those things and playing defense the Madden 20 style. And then the 5th and final tip is developing play styles overall to match what Madden 20 is going to be all about. Start developing a play style that utilizes the run, the short pass, and the medium pass. And defensively, start developing play styles that are going to be able to defend the run, the short pass, and the medium pass. The better you get at it now, the better prepared you're going to be for Madden 20, and you're going to be that much further ahead of the competition before the game ever comes out, because you prepared yourself for what the game is going to be like and what the meta is going to be. The game isn't going to be deep passes 24/7 like it is in Madden 19. It's not going to be PA crossers 24/7 like it is in Madden 19. It's not going to work the same way. It's also not going to be user linebackers covering 90% of the field or covering the entire middle of the field and shutting it down. You're going to have a better pass trajectory in this game. The passes are going to come out a little bit slower, but they're going to have the right pass arc on them, and you're going to be able to pass over top of linebackers. In addition to that, defensively, you're going to need to be ready to stop these types of things on offense. So you got to start developing different play styles and try out different things here in Madden 19 to get yourself prepared. Obviously, you're not going to be 100% ready because nothing in Madden 19 is going to 100% replicate Madden 20 because the player ratings are going to be a wider range. It's going to be a completely different look, a completely different feel, and a completely different game than it was in Madden 19 because of all these changes that they've made. But you can do these couple things to really start to focus in on Madden 20 skill set and focus in on at least your strategy and what you're prepared to do when you go into a game. And that's going to help you win games in Madden 20 whenever it first comes out. And you have a couple months here to get prepared for it. So I suggest that you guys start warming up and doing it now. You know, hop into a franchise mode or hop into some online games and just start doing these things and getting good at them. And then by the time Madden 20 rolls around, you guys are going to be prepared and you're going to have this video to thank. And then in addition to that, go ahead and check out the other videos that I have on the channel. My offense and my defense is primarily centered around these things already. This is how I play the game. I do a lot of strategy-based stuff. I'm good at calling plays specifically to defeat different defenses or different offenses. I'm good at the strategy part of the game. I might not have the best stick skills. I might not be the best user linebacker, but I win games because I play the game in a strategic way and in an intelligent way. So if you guys go and watch some of my other videos, how I run the ball so well on Madden 19, you know, how I play defense so well and how I stop the AI, stuff like that, they're all up on the channel. Go ahead and go check them out. They're going to help you guys out prepare for Madden 20 because I'm already running these types of things that are going to be useful in Madden 20. So hopefully this video helped you guys get some insight into what you need to do to prepare for Madden 20. Hopefully this does help you prepare for Madden 20. If it does help you guys out, gives you guys some ideas of what you want to do, maybe gets you back into the feel of Madden here, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below for more. As always, it's Jake Reid. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.